الحمد لله رب العالمين له الحمد الحسن والثناء الجميل وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. This inshallah ta'ala is our second lesson on the Kitab Safinatul Najah. Previously we've taken and we spoke about Alamatul Bulugh. In our previous lesson we spoke about the introduction, the muqaddimah of the book, the introduction of the author, rahimahullah, and we also spoke about Alamatul Bulugh, the signs of puberty. Today inshallah ta'ala we're going to speak about the conditions of using a stone. And the author rahimahullah, he mentioned 8 of them. He mentioned 8 conditions. So we're going to go into the chapter known as Adabu Qada al-Haja. We're going to be speaking about the manners of how to fulfill the manners and the etiquettes of how to do call of nature. The author, he started by talking about what is known as al-istinja. He spoke about al-istinja, and he chaptered and he called it faslun, section. So the word faslun, it means section. And he then says شروط إجزاء الحجر ثمانية. The condition of using a stone, and they are 8. But before we go into the 8, what we want to speak about and we want to mention is the author rahimahullah, he speaks about using a stone, and he doesn't speak about using water. Islam permits us to use 2 things. وَلِذَلِكَ the scholars, they say that when you want to cleanse yourself after call of nature, there are 3 steps in how to clean yourself. There are 3 ways in how you clean yourself after doing call of nature. The first one is al-jam'u bayna al-hajari wal-ma'. It is to combine between using a stone and water. So you do both. You use stone and you also use water. This is the best form. The person first of all uses a stone, and then after that he follows it up with water. And the reason why this is the best is because the hajar, the stone, tuzilu ayn al-najasa. The stone removes the filth, the actual filth. It removes it. And the water removes the stain. وَالْمَاءُ يُزِيلُ أَثَرَهَا. And the water removes the stain. So the filth is gone, and the stain that remains after it is also gone, if the person uses water and stone. And today what takes the place of a stone is tissue. Tissue takes place of a stone. Number 2, the second way a person can clean themselves after call of nature is al-iqtisaru ala al-ma', to just only stick to water. That you don't use stone, nor do you use tissue. You only use water. And this one is in the second stage. It's the second level. The best one is when you combine between using water and stone. The second one is, in level, is to just only use water. And the third and final one is al-iqtisaru ala al-hajar, to only just use stone and stay away from using water. And that is the lowest of the 3. That is the lowest of the 3. And that is permissible. To just only use stones, it is permissible even if you have water. Even if the water is present, you are allowed to use stone. Or you are allowed to just use tissue even if you have water. But you haven't gone, and you haven't taken the best path. You haven't taken the best path. You've avoided the best path. Now, when we speak about al-istinja, cleaning yourself after call of nature, we have to understand that there are 4 pillars. Arkanul istinja arba'a. The call of nature is 4 levels. The first level is the mustanji. Mustanji is the one who is doing the cleansing. The mustanji is the individual who's cleaning himself. وَهُوَ الشَّخْص. It is the person himself. Male or female, that individual is called the mustanji. The second pillar is mustanja minhu. Mustanja minhu is what you're cleansing yourself from. And that is al-kharijun najas al-mulawwith. It is the thing that is coming out. The excretion is the second pillar. The mustanja minhu, which is al-khariju an-najas al-mulawwith. It is the impure thing that's coming out. It is the excretion itself. Number 3, mustanja fihi. And the mustanja fihi is the private part. Al-qubul wa-dubur. It is the front and the back part. It's not the excretion, but it's your front passage and your back passage. Al-qubul wa-dubur. And number 4 is mustanja bihi. And the mustanja bihi is the mustanja bihi, which is the 4th and final pillar. It is al-ma' or al-hajar. It is the thing that you're going to use to clean yourself with. And that is either water or a stone or ma yaqumu maqamaha, or anything that takes the place of the stone. So these are the 4 pillars. These are the 4 pillars. The author is really focusing on here the mustanja bihi. He's going to be focusing on the mustanja bihi. Mustanja bihi means that which you're going to use to clean yourself. And as I said, they are 2. The first one is water, and the second one is a stone. The author doesn't speak about water now. He only speaks about the stone. Okay? Some of the scholars, they mention that the istinja bil hajar, cleansing yourself and cleaning yourself after call of nature with stone, is a rukhsa. It's a rukhsa. It is a easy way. It's a gentle ruling that was only prescribed for this ummah, Ummatu Muhammad. I.e. the previous nations, they had to use water. The previous nations, they had to use water. So this is khasa'isu hadil ummah. It's something Allah uniquely gave this ummah. Some scholars, they said that. As for the water, it's not something we're unique in. Previous nations, they used to use water. ولذلك, if you go to the kitab Bustan al-Arifin by Abu Layth al-Samarqandi, he mentions that the first person to actually do istinja with water was Nabiullah Ibrahim. And some of the scholars of tafsir, some mention the ayah وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ. They mentioned the kalimat here. Some of them they mentioned it is al-istinja bil ma. Ala kulli hal, the istinja stand on those 4 pillars. The author, rahimahullah, he goes into shurutu ijza' al-hajar, the conditions in which you would need in order to use a stone. There are conditions that the author rahimahullah mentioned that have to be met before you can consider using this particular stone. Some scholars, before they go into that, generally, some of the ulama, they have actually spoken about it. They've spoken about fadalatul anbiya, the waste that come from the prophets. Are they pure or are they impure? Some scholars have actually spoken about this. This is an issue that was discussed from the scholars. Like for the excretions of the prophets, and also the saliva of the prophets, and also the sweat that come from the prophets. What are they ruling? Are they pure or are they impure? وَمَا إِلَى ذَلِكَ. The scholars have discussed this. But we're not going to go into that. We're not going to go into that. We're only going to stick to what the author rahimahullah mentioned. شُرُوطُ إِجْزَاءِ الْحَجَرِ. The conditions that have to be met for the stone to be something we can use. The author rahimahullah mentioned 8. The author rahimahullah, he mentions 8. But they are more than 8. They are actually more than 8. They are 14 inshaAllah ta'ala. They are 14 conditions. I'm going to mention those 14 conditions quickly, but I'm only going to explain the 8 that the author rahimahullah mentioned. But before I go into that, the author said, شُرُوطُ إِجْزَاءِ الْحَجَرِ. First of all, we have to take the word shurut is a plural. And in the Arabic language, the plural are 3 types. The word shurut is a plural. And the word plural in the Arabic language, shurut, is a plural. And plural in the Arabic language is 3 types. The shurut are 3 types. The first one is shart, which is, the plural in the Arabic language are 3. The plural in the Arabic language are 3. The first one is jam'u taksir, and the second one is jam'u al-mudhakkar salim, and the third one is jam'u al-mu'annath salim. So the first one is jam'u taksir, which is a broken plural. The second one is the jam'u al-mudhakkar salim. Jam'u al-mudhakkar salim means masculine plural. And the third one is jam'u al-mu'annath salim, which is the feminine plural. These three are the 3 types of plural. The word shurut is a broken plural. And the singular is shart. And the singular is shart. In the Arabic language, the word shart is alama. It's a sign. It's a what? It's a sign. Lakin, that is not what it means according to the istilahi usage. Meaning, according to the scholars, their understanding of the word shart is ما يلزم من عدمه العدم ولا يلزم من وجوده وجود. The word shart, according to the scholars, is ما يلزم من عدم العدم. Its absence necessitates the absence of the thing that you want to do. I.e., if you're praying salah right now, and the shart for the salah is wudu, and the wudu is missing, so is the salah missing. So the absence of the condition is the absence of the action itself, meaning the salah here. The condition is the wudu. The wudu being absent is the salah being absent. So if the wudu is not found, the salah is also not found. وَلَا يَلْزَمُ مِنْ وُجُودِهِ وُجُودٍ. And the presence of the wudu doesn't necessitate the presence of the prayer. Just because you have wudu doesn't mean we found the prayer. Okay? That's what it means, shart. That's what shart means. The author, rahimahullah, he says, إِجْزَاءِ الْحَجَرِ ثَمَانِيَةٌ. The conditions. So we now know what the word shart means. The word shart means a prerequisite. It's a condition. These conditions have to be met in order for a person to be able to use a stone. The author said they are 8. And as I said, they are not 8, they are more than 8. And I'm going to mention the ones that the author rahimahullah missed. So write this down inshallah ta'ala. The conditions, شروط إجزاء الحجر, are categorized into 3. The conditions of the condition of using a stone are categorized into 3. The first one is من حيث كوني حجرا أو ما في معناه. The first condition is whether it even meets the condition of it being a stone. First condition is, has it met the condition of being a stone? Have we found in it, is it present, the conditions of a stone? It has to be a stone. And what are the conditions of a stone? There are 4. There are 4 conditions for us to consider this to be a stone. The first one is أن يكون جامدا. It has to be jamid. I mean, it can't be a fluid. It can't be something that flows. It has to be jamid. It has to be solid. The second condition for it to meet, in order for it to be a stone, is أن يكون طاهرا, that it has to be pure. The third one is أن يكون قالعا. It is something that can remove. A stone can remove something. And the fourth one is أن يكون غير محترم. It can't be something that is respected. It can't be something that's sacred. Those 4 conditions are من حيث كوني حجرا أو ما في معناه. It is, does it meet the condition of it being a stone or anything that takes its place? So those are 4. The second condition is من حيث الخارج. The impurity that's coming out. The impurity that is coming out, there are 7 conditions. There are 7 conditions regarding the impurity that is coming out. Number 1. So those are 7. So they are 7. أن يخرج الملوث من فرج. The impurity has to come out from the private part. Number 2, ألا يجف النجس. The impurity cannot dry. ألا ينتقل. It cannot move from one place to another. ألا يطرأ عليه آخر. Nothing else comes onto it. Number 5, ألا يجاوز صفحته وحشفته. It cannot fall onto the inner part of the person's 2 thighs. It cannot go, that which we wrote on the board, it can't be found in the person's buttocks or the front of the dhakar, the man's private part. It can't be on the head of the private part of the man. ألا يتقطع. It cannot be something that cuts up. ألا يصيبه ماء. Also water cannot go onto it. These 7 are the conditions for the impurity. And there are 3 conditions in terms of how you clean yourself or how you use the stone. And that is the 3rd type. And in there are 3 conditions. أن يكون بثلاثة أحجار. It has to be with 3 stones. أن يعم المحل كل مرة. That every time it has to be able to cover the whole entire area. أن ينقي المحل. And it also has to clean the place. Those are 14. But we've divided them into 3. The first condition is concerning whether it meets the criteria of a stone. And in there are 4 conditions. And the second one was conditions pertaining to the excretion. And I said there are 7. And the third is in terms of how you use the stone, the method and the way that you clean yourself with the stone. And these are 3 conditions. If you add them together, 4 plus 7 is 11, and then add 3 is 14. Those are the 14 conditions that the scholars mention when it comes to fuqaha al-Shafi'iyya. The Shafi'i scholars, they mention in regards to ijza' al-hajar, using this stone. Okay? Like in the author, rahimahullah, he didn't mention all of those 14. He chose and he picked from some of the he used some of the first condition, and he took some from the second condition, and he also took some from, or one from the, or some from the third condition. And we've written those 8 on the board. We're going to now cover them, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to go through each one bi'idhnillahi al-kareem. So let's start, inshallah ta'ala, with the 8 that the author rahimahullah mentioned. So the first of the 8 that the author rahimahullah mentioned is أن يكون بثلاثة أحجار. أن يكون بثلاثة أحجار. In order for a person to clean themselves with a stone, or the condition for using a stone, the first of them is 3 stones should be used. 3 stones must be used. What about if a person used 2 stones, and those 2 stones that you used, it actually cleaned you? It actually cleaned you. It cleansed the place. Are you allowed to just stick to those 3? So are you allowed to just stick to those 2? Or is it a must for you to use 3 stones regardless of whether 2 cleans you or 1 cleans you? Is it a must that you use 3 stones? Yes, it's a must. You have to use 3 stones. That's the bare minimum. You have to use حتى لو حصل الإنقاء بدونها. Even if it happens that you clean yourself and you cleanse yourself with less than 3 stones. And the reason for that is because ظاهر الحديث. Al-Imam Muslim narrated in his Sahih on the authority of Salman al-Farisi radiallahu ta'ala anhu, قيل له, it was said to him, Salman al-Farisi, it was said to him, قد علمكم نبيكم قد علمكم نبيكم, your prophet has taught you كل شيء, everything. Your prophet, he taught you everything. حتى الخراء, he even taught you call of nature. يعني your prophet, he came and he taught you everything, even how to do your call of nature. Salman al-Farisi responded and he said, Ajal, yes, of course. Our prophet, he taught us everything. So Islam is a religion that has taught us everything that we need. It has explained to us every path. It has explained to us every path that will take us to Jannah. It has told us it. And it has also warned us from every path that will lead us to the hellfire. This religion has told us everything. فديننا لم يخلو عن حكم على مر الزمان لو بدا ما أعضل لأنه قد احتوى قواعد تستخرج الأحكام عنها راشدة. فديننا لم يخلو عن حكم على مر الزمان لو بدا ما أعضل. Our religion has never left off anything that we need in order to enter Jannah. And it also has not left off warning us from whatever path will lead us to the hellfire. Yani it's a religion which is kamilun shamil. It's a comprehensive religion. It tells us everything. It even taught us that when we go to the toilet, how to clean ourselves. What we should or shouldn't be doing. Is it a religion that's going to leave off acts of ibadat that we need? Is it a religion that's going to leave off big matters that we need to know about? Of course it's not. If it's telling us that when we go to the toilet, what hand we can use and what hand we can't use, and how many stones we can use, and how many stones that we can't use, and where we can face and where we cannot face, it's not going to leave off any other thing. It's going to tell us everything that we need. So Salman al-Farisi straight away said to this individual, Ajal, of course, لقد نهانا أن نستقبل القبلة لغائط أو بول أو أن نستنجي باليمين أو أن نستنجي بأقل من 3 أحجار أو أن نستنجي برجيع أو بعظم. Salman al-Farisi said, of course our Prophet taught us everything. He taught us when we go to call of nature that we do not face the Qibla. He told us not to face the Qibla. Whether we're doing feces or whether we're urinating, it doesn't matter. We're not allowed to face the Qibla. He also told us not to. He also told us not to use our right hand when we're cleaning ourselves. He also, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us that we're not allowed to use less than 3 stones. So the hadith says, أن نستنجي بأقل من 3 أحجار. We are not allowed to use less than 3 stones. إذن ظاهر الحديث, from what is apparent from the hadith, is that we're not allowed to use less than 3 stones. Whether it cleanses us or not, we're only allowed to start with 3. And we can go over and more than that, but we are not allowed to use less than 3. أو أن نستنجي برجيع أو بعظم. And also the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he prohibited us, alayhi salatu wasalam, from using a bone, and he also prohibited us from using animal dung. He prohibited us from it, alayhi salatu wasalam. Then, what we take from this is that we are not allowed to, in any way, shape or form, cleanse ourselves with less than 3 stones. The bare minimum is 3. That's the bare minimum. لظاهر الحديث. And that which we have to understand is our religion is specific. It's particular. Numbers are important. Numbers are important. We are told when we go to do Hajj, the amount of stones that we can use. Not only that, we are even told what types of stone that we are allowed to use. وَلِذَلِكَ, some of the scholars, they discussed the fact that the Prophet said 3 stones. What about if I was to get 1 stone, but it had 3 edges, 3 sides? Am I allowed to use each side? Yani I'm going to use 1 stone, but I'm going to use 3 of its sides. I'm going to use 3 of its sides. What about that? We'll say that no. The hadith clearly and categorically said, أن نستنجي بأقل من 3 أحجار. 3 stones. So the person should use 3 stones. The second condition is وأن ينقي المحل. The second condition is وأن ينقي المحل, is that it cleans the place. And ينقي المحل means that it cleans the place. This is where the author, he said it should purify. وأن ينقي المحل. It should purify. It should purify the person's place that you're cleaning. It should. It's a condition. If it doesn't, then it's not meeting the second criteria, the second condition. Okay? What does it mean, وَأَن يُنَقِّيَ الْمَحَلَّ? Al-Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, he says, وَأَن يُنَقِّيَ الْمَحَلَّ means وَأَلَّا يَتْرُكَ قَائِمًا إِلَّا لَاسِقًا لَا يُزِيلُهُ إِلَّا الْمَاءِ. That when you use the stone, it can't leave anything sticking out. Has to rub and peel off everything, has to take off everything. And it has to leave the place لاصقا. لاصقا means it has to leave it flat. It removes everything only that which can only be removed by water. Yani there are things that can only be removed by water. A stone can never do. That's the only thing that needs to be left. That's the condition. وَأَن يُنَقِّيَ الْمَحَلَّ وَأَلَّا يَجِفَّ النَّجِسُ. The third condition is وَأَلَّا يَجِفَّ النَّجَسُ. But before I go in, last lesson I promised that every point that the author brings, we're going to bring evidence for it. We brought the evidence for using 3 stones. But what about the evidence of cleaning the place? This is an issue regarding at-ta'leel. Ta'leeling means reasoning. So some of the evidences I mentioned are going to be dalil min al-Qur'an wa sunnah, and some of it is going to be a ta'leel, reasoning. So here we say that the maqsood, the whole objective of why the istinja was even permitted in the first place and it was legislated, was for it to clean. That's the wisdom and that's the reasoning behind it. The third one is وَأَلَّا يَجِفَّ النَّجَسِ. وَأَلَّا يَجِفَّ النَّجَسِ means it can't dry. It cannot dry. Because they say if it dries, the stone won't be able to clean it. It won't be able to clean it. Here's the question according to the Shafi'iyah. Here according to the Shafi'iyah, whether some of it dries or all of it dries, it's the same for them. Whether some or all of it dries, it's the same. The stone won't be able to do it. This is their reasoning. They say لأنه إذا جف لم يكن الحجر كافيا في تنقيته. That if it dries, the stone will not be able to clean it. Okay. وَلَا يَنْتَقِلَ. وَلَا يَنْتَقِلَ means it shouldn't also move from one place to another. So the purity should not be completely dry. This one, وَأَلَّا يَجِفَّ النَّجَسِ, it shouldn't completely dry. According to that translation, it goes against what the Shafi'iyah believe. The Shafi'iyah actually believe whether it's completely dry or partially dry, meaning part of the feces is dry, or part of the urine is dry, they believe it still does not meet the criteria. It still doesn't meet the condition. So whether it's partial or whether it's complete, to them it's not. So it would have been better to say the impurity should not be dry. Okay, it should not be dry, regardless of whether all of it is dry or whether it's partially dry. Number 4, the impurity should not have spread out. ولا ينتقل. ولا ينتقل. ولا ينتقل means it should not have spread out. What do they mean by it should not have spread out? See, according to the Shafi'iyah, they believe that the reason why the istinja'i bil hajar, the using of the stone, was permitted is for the person to clean this area. If the urine or the feces falls on another part of the person's body, then they're saying this is no longer istinja. It's now water must be used. It's equivalent to someone else's urine going on your body here, because this urine has gone another segment of your body. Okay, it's gone to another segment of your body, another part of your body. So they say the only part that the Sharia permitted is the area in which the impurity came from. How far is that area? It's mentioned in the 6th condition. How far is the area which you're allowed to clean yourself with the stone? I hope this is understood. The impurity should not have spread out, so it can't go to other areas. How far can that urine go? Or how far can that feces go? No other impurity should come up. It's going to mention it in the 6th. Inshallah, we're going to see in the 6th. The 5th one is no other impurity should come upon it. So if there's a urine on you and another impurity or goes on top of it, the Shafi'iyya believe there's a condition missing. The reason for that is because they say that the original impurity that the person came with, there's an evidence for you using a stone for it. But this additional impurity, it requires additional evidence that you can use a stone for it. Okay? That's their illah. That's the reasoning for why they believe وَلَا يَطْرَعُ عَلَيْهِ آخَرٍ. No other impurity can come upon it. So your urine, another urine can't go on top of that. If it does happen, they say, it doesn't meet the condition of ijza'ul hajar. The stone doesn't help you now. You have to resort to water. Remember when we say, if وَأَلَّا يَجِفَّ النَّجَسِ, if it dries, then you have to use water. وَلَا يَنْتَقِلْ, it can't move or it can't spread, then you'd have to use water. You're not allowed to use stone anymore because the condition is missing. You see, وَأَلَّا يُنَقِّلْ الْمَحَلَّ, it has to clean the area. If it can't clean the area, then you have to resort to water. Okay? Or maybe even more stones. وَلَا يَطْرَعْ عَلَيْهِ آخَرٍ وَلَا يُجَاوِزُ صَفْحَتَهُ وَحَشَفَتَهُ. This one, the Shafi'iyya say, it cannot go beyond the area that they believe, up to which area that the impurity can go beyond, cannot go beyond, is the inner buttocks. So the inner buttocks, the person's in between their thighs, up that area, that's how far they say it can go. And the head of the private part of the man. Then وَحَشَفَتَهُ is the head of the private part of the man. Okay? The impurity can't go beyond that. So if it goes on your thighs or your knees, or it goes on other areas, they say that it has spread out now. It has spread out. The limit that you have is that area. And as I mentioned, their reasoning for this is what? If it goes beyond that limit, they're saying it's of no difference. There's no difference between impurity going on your leg, for instance. Okay? And if impurity goes on your leg, you can't use a stone. You have to use water to clean it. Okay? Number 7 is water should not splash onto the stone. Water should not splash onto the stone. وَلَا يُصِيبُهُ مَاء. Water cannot splash on it. That's what they say. وَلَا يُصِيبُهُ مَاء. Whether is that water is clean or whether it's not clean, according to the Shafi'iyya, it doesn't matter. Whether it's clean water or not, the stone must not come into contact with water. It shouldn't. They don't believe that. And again, وَلَا يُصِيبُهُ مَاء, which is the 7th condition, it goes under the 5th one. So the 7th one, it falls under the 5th. وَلَا يَطْرَعُ عَلَيْهِ آخَرٌ. Nothing else goes onto it, whether it's pure or impure. وأن تكون الأحجار طاهرة. وأن تكون الأحجار طاهرة. And last but not least, the stones, they have to be pure. Okay? They have to be what? They have to be pure. The last condition is the stones. The stones to be used should be pure. The stones that the person is going to use, they have to be pure. And the evidence for that is the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, خرج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لحاجته. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم left and went out to do his call of nature. And then he said to him, التمس لي ثلاثة أحجار. Go and get me 3 stones. The Prophet said to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, go and get me 3 stones. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, فَأَتَيْتُ بِحَجَرَيْنِ, I came to him with 2 stones and also warawtha. And I brought him an animal feces, a dry animal feces. فَأَخَذَ الْحَجَرَيْنِ, the Prophet took the 2 stones, وَأَلْقَى الرَّوْثَ, and he tossed, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the animal feces. He tossed it. And then the Prophet said, إِنَّهَا رِكْزٌ. He said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this is impure. He said, this is impure. So the condition is what? The condition is that you have to use that which is pure. You have to use that which is pure. There's a couple of other things that the author rahimahullah didn't mention, which were necessary for him to mention. For example, you're not allowed to use something which is muhtaram, something which is sacred. You're not allowed to clean yourself with something which is sacred. Like for example, you're not allowed to use the Quran, for example. And using the Quran or part of the Quran, it's kufrun billahi al-aliyyul azim. It's disbelief of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Because it's ihanatul Quran. You're belittling the Quran. You can't use it. Whether that Quran is connected to the mushaf or whether it's detached from it. Meaning if it's a page that's ripped from it or whether it's actually stuck to the mushaf, it doesn't matter. You're not allowed to do it. Some of the scholars, they mention that you can't even use the Kutub al-Tawrat wal-Injil, the previous scriptures. You cannot use that. And the Tawrat and the Injil are books we know that its people distorted it. They changed it. مع ذلك, you're not allowed to use it. You're not allowed to use it. You're also not allowed to do the same with books which have Islamic sciences in it, like kutubs which deal with Islamic sciences, like hadith and fiqh and tafsir and sarf and nahu and the likes of it. You're also not allowed to use things that humans honor. From them is food. Food is an honorable thing. So you're not allowed to use bread, for example. And you're not allowed to use cheese, for example. You're not allowed to also use a bone. Okay? And the reason why you're not allowed to use a bone is because the Prophet ﷺ, he said that every stone in which Allah's name was mentioned in it, a meat is placed on it, and our brothers from the jinn eat from it. So it's something they want, something that's sacred for them. So we're not allowed to use that which is impure. We're also not allowed to use that which is sacred. Here what we take from it, brothers, is how Islam is very strong with cleanliness and purity. It's a religion that has surpassed human civilization today. Subhanallah, think about it. The way Islam has spoken about this 1,400 and something years ago. And today, we are seeing that the spread of a virus, coronavirus for instance, it's spread in an epidemic way. It's lethal, it's killing people on a large scale. And the doctors today, they are emphasizing on, scientists are emphasizing on the concept of cleanliness, cleaning yourself. Islam, it's emphasized on that before any plague or virus came. It emphasized before all of that. And what I mean by before any virus or plague has come, بغض النظر, whether it came or not, Islam has spoken about this, that's what I mean. And it's emphasized on it. So it's a religion of cleanliness. Taharatul badan, the cleanliness of the physical side, meaning the body, and also the cleanliness of the heart. The cleanliness of the heart is that you are patient with the calamities when they're before you, and that you know everything is in the hands of Allah. وَمَا أَصَابَكُم مِّن مُّصِيبَةٍ, there is not a calamity that befalls you and that comes your way, except that calamity was written for you. إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مِّن قَبْلِ أَن نَّبْرَأَهَا, all of this was written in a book for you. So you believe in it. Now, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to go to, inshallah, bi'idhnillah al-kareem, the second side of where the author, rahimahullah, he speaks about. Faslun, section. Furudul wudu'i sittatun. So the author, rahimahullah, he now goes into the furudul wudu'. The furudul wudu' is the obligatory act of wudu'. So now we're going to go into, inshallah ta'ala, the furudul wudu'. So now the author rahimahullah, he goes into a section known as Furudul Wudu'i, the obligatory things regarding the wudu, the obligatory acts of wudu. The word furud, it means, or it's the plural of the singular word fard. And fard is al-nasib al-lazim, according to the ulama al-lugha. And according to the istilah, the technical usage is radif al-wajib. It is a synonym of the word al-wajib. And it is ما طلبه الشارع فعله, it is what the Sharia requested for you to do على وجه الإلزام, in a forceful manner. And some scholars loosely say ما يثاب على فعله, أما ما يثاب فاعله امتثالا ويعاقب تاركه. The one who does it gets rewarded, and the one who leaves it gets punished. That's a loose definition. We won't go too much into that. The reason why the author rahimahullah here mentioned furudul wudu, and he didn't call it arkanul wudu, is because of a specific reason. We won't go into that now. We will not go into that. The author rahimahullah mentioned 6 obligations. He mentioned 6 obligatory acts for wudu, of wudu. 4 of the 6 that he mentioned are present in the Quran. From the 6, 4 of them are in the Quran, and 2 of them are in the Sunnah. The 4 that are in the Quran is ghaslul wajh, washing the face, and washing the hands with the elbows, and also washing washing the face, washing the 2 hands with the elbows, and also wiping over the hair, and also washing the 2 feet. Those are found in the Quran. In قوله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. So this is found in the ayah. As for the other 2, which is an-niyyah and at-tartib. Niyyah, intention, we have the hadith إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. We have the hadith إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. And as for the tartib, we have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he said إِبْدَأُوا بِمَا بَدَأَ اللَّهُ بِهِ. Start that with that which Allah started with. Okay? And also the Arab, they do not do تفريق المتجانس إلا لنكتة. The Arabs, they don't distinguish between 2 things which are the same unless there's a reason behind it. And Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He distinguished between the things that need to be washed and the things that need to be wiped. So we recognize from that it's sequences. Sequence. For example, the ayah talks about washing the face. The washing the face and the washing of the legs, they have in common washing. But why is it that in between the 2 washings, He placed between it wiping? وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. Why didn't He not just put all of the washing in one side and the wiping on one side? And why did He place in between those 2 washings the wiping of the head? Because the wiping of the head comes before it. So the Arabs do not distinguish between al-mutajanis, 2 things which are the same, unless there's a wisdom and a reason behind it. And the reason here behind it is that order, the sequence. Ala kulli hal, those are the 6 that the author rahimahullah mentioned. We're going to go through each one bi'idhnillahi al-kareem. The first one of the 6 is an-niyyah, intention. Intention is the first one. What I want to say, inshallah ta'ala, my beloved brothers and sisters, is that the intention is a topic that the scholars spoke about in great details in many books and many sciences. ولذلك الإمام الشافعي رحمه الله, he mentioned that the hadith إنما الأعمال بالنيات, he mentions that it enters 70 chapters of fiqh. ولذلك the poet he said وهو في 70 بابا يدخل عن الإمام الشافعي ينقل وهو في 70 بابا يدخل. It enters 70 chapters. عن الإمام الشافعي ينقل, and this is transmitted from الإمام الشافعي. ولذلك جلال الدين السيوطي, he said that الإمام الشافعي, when he said that this hadith إنما الأعمال بالنيات, which talks about the intention, الإمام الشافعي said it enters 70 chapters. Did he mean it من باب التحديد أو التكثير? Did he mean it من باب التحديد أو التكثير? يعني did Imam al-Shafi'i mean by this that 70 meaning it enters many chapters, and he didn't mean specifically 7, because the Arabs sometimes use the word 70 as to mean something being a lot. As Allah said in the ayah, استغفر لهم أو لا تستغفر لهم إن تستغفر لهم 70 مرة فلن يغفر الله لهم. So Allah says, if you ask for them forgiveness 70 times, Allah will not forgive them. 70 here is للتكثير. You know, whatever, however much times you ask for them forgiveness, Allah will not forgive them. So when Shafi'i said 70 here, did he actually mean 70, or did he mean a lot? Suyuti took the opinion in his Kitab al-Ashbah wal-Nadha'ir that Imam al-Shafi'i meant 70 tahdid, specifically the amount. ولذلك if you go to the Kitab al-Ashbah wal-Nadha'ir, Suyuti actually proved that the 70 that Shafi'i mentioned, in which in the chapters of fiqh, in which إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ enters, he proved them. He said, here, and he brought the 70, Suyuti brought it. Other scholars, they went and they proved more than 70. Because remember, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ الْأُمُورُ بِمَقَاصِدِهَا, that every action is based on what is intended by it, is not only specific to ibadat, it's not only specific to acts of worship. It's also in mu'amalat, transactions. It enters al-talaq, it enters al-nikah, it enters al-buyu', it enters different chapters, and it's discussed in those chapters as well. So Al-Imam al-Shafi'i never meant by it 70 per se, but what he meant by it is that it enters more than 70 chapters. It's just too much, it's large. That's what he meant by it. Anyways, the first obligatory act for wudu is intention. ولذلك when the scholars they talk about intentions, when the ulama speak about intention, they speak about 7 things regarding intention. So it's important that you write this down. The scholars, when they speak about intention, they speak about seven things regarding intention. And a poet brought those 7 together, and he said, حقيقة حكم محل وزمن كيفية شرط ومقصود حسن. حقيقة حكم محل وزمن كيفية شرط ومقصود حسن. These are the 7. The first one is حقيقة. What does intention mean? What does niyyah mean? حقيقة النية. What does intention actually mean? That's number 1. Number 2, حكمه, its ruling. What is the حكم? حكمها. What is the ruling of a niyyah? What is the ruling of a niyyah? Number 3, محلها. Where does the intention come from? Where does it occur from? Number 4, زمنها. When does the intention have to be done? When does it have to be done? 5, كيفيتها. The form in which it's done. The form in which it's done. 6, شروطها, its conditions, the prerequisites of intention. And 7 is مقصودها. What is the objective and the ultimate goal from this intention? What is the intention? So what is the objective of the intention? The scholars, they speak about those 7 I mentioned. Let's start with the first one. The word an-niyya, what does it mean? In the Arabic language, the word an-niyya means al-qasd. It means al-qasd. It's to intend something. Shar'an, it means qasdu shay'i, it is to intend something. Muqtarinan bifi'lihi, and it's also to do the action with it. So it's to intend something and the action being connected with it. Third thing is hoping reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those are the three things. So it's the word an-niyya means to intend something, to come with the action, to work towards coming with the action. And number three is to hope reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the reason why we say muqtarinan bifi'lihi is that we want to get rid of the word azm. Azm and niyya are two different things. Azm is qasdu shay. It is to intend to do something مع عدم الاقتران بفعله, but the action is not mentioned. The action is not come with it. The action is not come with it. What is the ruling for niyyah? What is the ruling for intention? The ruling for a niyyah is al-wujubu ghaliban. The majority of the times it's obligatory. It's obligatory. Especially when it comes to doing actions. Doing actions, you have to come with intentions. But leaving of things, you generally don't have to come with intention. You don't have to. You just miss the reward. For example, staying away from zina, do you have to have the intention of not the intention of staying away from zina for the sake of Allah? Does that have to be there? What about if it didn't come to my mind? It hasn't come to my mind at all. So the scholars, they say, when you want to do something, you have to come with the intention. But leaving off an action, not necessarily. Not always the case. So it's obligatory majority of the times. Mahalluha, where does the intention come from? Where does a person have to do the intention from? Mahalluha al-qalb. The place you have to do it from is the heart. وَالتَّلَفُّظُ بِهَا بِدْعَةٌ. And to pronounce it and utter it is an innovation. So proclaiming it on your tongue, saying the intention on your tongue is an innovation. It's an innovation. Number 4, zamanuha. When do you do it? You do it awwalul ibadat. You do it at the beginning of the ibadat. So when you say Allahu Akbar and the intention are together. Your intention, your heart, and your Allahu Akbar are together. They're together. And some of the fuqaha Shafi'iyya, they say, the only one that you don't do it at the beginning of the ibadah, and that you do it before the ibadah, is fasting. It's fasting. Because they said, لِعُسْرِ مُرَاقَبَةِ الْفَجْرِ, because it's very hard for you to make the intention and it was accurate to the time of al-fajr. It's hard, they said. Number 5, كَيْفِيَتُهَا. What way do you do the intentions? The intentions, they differ. تختلف باختلاف المنوي. It differs in accordance to the act that you're doing. So the example, the intention for fasting is different from the intention of praying, is different from the intention for Hajj. وَهَلُمَّ جَرَّا. The way that it's done for each one is different. Number 6, شُرُوطُهَا. The conditions for the intention. There are prerequisites that need to be met for the intention. The first one is Islamun Nawi. The person who's coming with the intention has to be a believer. Has to be a believer. فَلَا تَصِحُّ النِّيَّةُ مِنَ الْكَافِرِ. The intention, فَلَا تَصِحُّ النِّيَّةُ مِنْ كَافِرٍ. The intention is not correct from a disbeliever. It's not. And of course there are exceptions. Number 2 is at-tamyiz. The person has to be a mumayyiz. Mumayyiz here is the child who can distinguish things. And the scholars, the dabit that they set for tamyiz is of course of different. Like in the Shafi'iyya, they believe that the mumayyiz is الذي يأكل وحده, the one who can eat by himself. ويشرب وحده, and he can drink by himself. ويستنجي وحده, and he can also cleanse himself from the impurity by himself. The intention cannot be done by a child that hasn't reached this stage. He hasn't reached a tamyiz. And also a majnoon, a person who's insane. They can't. Again, there are exceptions. Number 3, al-ilmu bil-manwi. The person has to have knowledge of the thing that they're doing the intention for. They have to know it. So you're going to pray salah, you need to know what salah you're going to pray and how to pray it in order to do the intention for it. If you don't even know, for example, that dhuhr is 4 rak'ah and you want to do intention for it, then this is wrong. Because you don't even know al-ilmu bil-manwi. The 4th one, and these brothers, I'm going to mention are the 6 conditions for the intention. So number 4 is عدم الاتيان بما ينافيها. You can't come with anything that's going to nullify it. You can't come with anything that's going to nullify it. Like apostating, for example. If a person apostates from Islam, that does nullify his intention. Number 5 is عدم التعليق قطعها بشيء. You can't connect your intention to something. So for example, you say, if so and so enters, my prayer will disconnect. Then of course, when this happens, then your salah is disconnected because your intention was limited to that time. So you're not allowed to connect your intention to something. It has to be unrestricted. So you're meaning, I'm going to do my intention for the prayer. Khalas. You can't say, I'm going to do my intention for the prayer if someone so and so enters it. This is called تعليق الشيء بشيء. Number 6 is عدم التردد في قطعها. The person is thinking twice about whether he should disconnect from something or not. For example, someone's in the middle of the prayer and they say, shall I leave the prayer? No, I'm not going to leave it. No, I think I should. No, I'm not going to leave it. Then the salah is gone because you did taraddud. Also, the same with the wudu. If you do that, it will go. So these are the conditions that the scholars mentioned for the shurut. Last but not least, maqsuduha, its objective. What is it that is needed from the intention? What is the objective? First of all, before we go into, the scholars, when they speak about the intention, they divide it into 2. They say, قصد العبادة وقصد المعبود. قصد العبادة and قصد المعبود. قصد المعبود is what the scholars refer to as al-ikhlas. Ikhlas is قصد المعبود. Who are you doing this action for? Who are you trying to get closer to by doing this action? So this is called قصد المعبود. Who are you intending to do it for? Okay? Who are you intending to do it for? That's not what the scholars of fiqh speak about. Scholars of fiqh, they don't speak about qasdul ma'bud. Qasdul ma'bud is spoken about in aqeedah. The concept of at-tawheed and singling Allah in this action. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ أَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. This is ikhlas. وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء ويقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة وذلك دين القيم لن ينال الله لحومها ولا دماؤها ولكن يناله التقوى منكم. These are ikhlas. Who are you doing this action for? Who is the one you're trying to get closer to? That's qasdul ma'bud, and that's the most important one. The second one is qasdul ibadah. Qasdul ibadah, what does it mean? Qasdul ibadah means 2 things. Qasdul ibadah means 2 things. It means tamyizul adati anil ibadat. It is to distinguish the norms that the person does and his customs from the acts of worship. To distinguish one from the other. For example, someone used to just shower every morning, and he used to do this to cool himself down. Okay? Or he used to do it to clean himself. Every morning when he wakes up, he feels like if he doesn't do it, he's not clean. So he goes and he does that. But this morning he has to do janaba. He had sexual intercourse with his partner. He has to do ghuslul janaba. How does he distinguish the norms of him cleaning himself and the janaba? It's based on the intention. So this is called tamyizul adati anil ibadat. You're distinguishing your normal routine from an act of worship that you now need to do. Both of which are cleaning yourself. But what distinguishes one from the other is an intention. So ghuslul nadafa has to be distinguished from the ghuslul janaba. Also, ghusl and tamyizul ibadati ba'diha an ba'd. Distinguishing the ibadat from one another. Distinguishing the ibadat from one another. For example, how do you distinguish dhuhr from asr? It's an intention. Okay? Or how do you distinguish ghuslul jum'ah from ghuslu al-janabah? How do you distinguish one from the other? This is called qasdul ibadah. And those are the two types for the qasdul ibadah. Tamyizul ibadati anil adat or tamyizul ibadati ba'diha an ba'd. And these 7 that I've just spoken about right now, حقيقة حكم محل وزمن كيفية شرط ومقصود حسن, these 7 that are spoken about when someone is speaking about the intention. These 7 you have to understand. If you want to look more into it, you can go into the kitab Al-Fara'id Al-Bahiyya and Al-Shuruhat, the explanation that have been done on the kitab Al-Fara'id Al-Bahiyya. So that's the first condition, or the first obligatory act of wudu, which is an-niyya, intention. You have to have an intention. The second one is ghaslul wajhi, washing your face. Washing your face is obligatory. The question here is, what is the face? The face is whatever faces a person when they are talking to you. It's what they can see from you. And it is from your jaw, it's here up to where your hair starts, and to this ear, to the other ear. So the length and the width. That's what your face is. And the obligation for that is قوله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم. Wash your faces. To wash your face. وأيديكم. And the second one is washing your hands. The author here said غسل اليدين مع المرفقين. Washing your hands with your elbows, including elbows. Here the question here is, the scholars, they discussed and they spoke about washing your hands. Is the elbows included or are they not included? Is the elbows included or are they not included? Because the ayah says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ. This word إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, and we have the author here saying غَسْلُ الْيَدَيْنِ مَعَ الْمِرْفِقَيْنِ. He used the word مَعَ when the ayah used إِلَى. غَسْلُ الْيَدَيْنِ, washing the two hands, مَعَ الْمِرْفِقَيْنِ, with the elbows. But the ayah said to the elbows. It says إِلَى الْمِرْفِقَيْنِ. Why did he mention the word إِلَى as to be مَعَ? Because we find that the Quran, the word إِلَى has sometimes been used as the word مَعَ. It has been. Like when Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَهُمْ إِلَى أَمْوَالِكُمْ. Do not eat their wealth with your wealth. Meaning, do not take the orphan's wealth and your wealth together. So the ayah says, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَهُمْ إِلَى أَمْوَالِكُمْ أي مَعَ أَمْوَالِكُمْ. إِلَى here means مَعَ, with. So the word ila has been used as the word ma'a. And the fact that it means with the elbows included is the hadith narrated by Daraqutni. And also Imam al-Bayhaqi min hadith Jabir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, where he said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا توضأ أدار الماء على مرفقيه. That the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, if he did wudu, he would rub the water and he would wipe the water over his elbows. So that hadith, which Shaykh Nasir rahimahullah, Shaykh Nasir al-Din al-Albani rahimahullah, hassanahu, he graded it to be sound. So the elbows, there's a narration for it which mentions adar al-ma', that the Prophet ﷺ he would wipe the water over his elbows. And of course it goes in line with the qa'idatul ulama, the principle that the scholars have mentioned, which is ما لا يتم الواجب إلا به فهو واجب. Whatever the obligatory act cannot be done without it, it becomes obligatory. Meaning washing the hands, your hand and your arm will not be really done unless you do the elbow with it. You can't really wash your arm unless you add the elbow in it. So it becomes obligatory because of that. So that's why the author has taken the opinion that غسل اليدين مع المرفقين, with the elbows included. The author then says مسح شيء من الرأس. مسح شيء من الرأس, it means wiping. And of course the fact that we said wiping means it can only be done once. Because if you do it more than once, it's no longer wiping, it becomes washing. So in order for it to be wiping, it has to be only done once. And the way that the Prophet ﷺ used to do it was, he used to start from the muqaddimatul ra'si, from the beginning of the head, and he would take it back to the ila qafah, back to the his neck, and then he would come back to where he started from, alayhi salatu wasalam. Here we have the ayah which says, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. So we have the ayah saying, وَامْسَحُوا, wipe, بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. This ba in biru'usikum, the ba in biru'usikum, the fuqaha differed amongst themselves. What is this ba? What does it mean? Some of the fuqaha, they took the opinion that the ba huna litab'id, ay biba'd ru'usikum, some of your hair. They took the view that the ba in biru'usikum, it means ay biba'd ru'usikum, some of your hair. And that's the opinion that the author here took. Mas'u shay'in min al-ra'si, wiping over some of the hair. And some of the scholars, they took that, no, it doesn't mean that, it means the ba here is lil ilsaq, and it's not li tab'id. Some scholars, they took that. And we won't go into the strongest opinion now. We're only mentioning qawl al-Shafi'iyya. The Shafi'i madhab here, and the author's view here is to wipe over some of the hair. Number 5. غسل الرجلين مع الكعبين, wiping over. This is the 5th from the furud al-wudu, and that is to wash your legs with the elbows, with the ankles included. غسل الرجلين, washing your 2 feet, مع الكعبين, with the ankles included. Okay, with the ankles included. And the 6th one is at-tartib, to observe the sequence that it was mentioned. So a person can't wash his face and then go to his legs. It has to be done in the sequence and the order we said. So the person has to first of all wash the face, and then the person, he then does the hands with the elbows, and then he goes back to the hair and the head, and then after that he washes his feet. That is the order in which it was mentioned in the ayah. That's the order Allah mentioned in the ayah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So at-tartib means وَضْعُ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ فِي مَرْتَبَتِهِ. It is to place everything in its order. It is to place everything in the right place. أَلَّا يُقَدِّمَ عُضْوًا عَلَى عُضْوٍ. You can't put one organ and one limb before another. And this is something that we took from the Prophet ﷺ. The wudu is a ibadah, and it is غَيْرُ مَعْقُولِ الْمَعْنَى. It's not something we can rationalize and intellectually observe. It is something that's taken from the textual evidence. It's taken from the Quran and the Sunnah. And so because it hasn't come from the Prophet ﷺ that he has done it in any other way, we have to take it from him the way he did it, alayhi salatu wasalam. Finally, the author, rahimahullah, he goes into something we kind of spoke about, which is the intention. What does it mean? He says the intention is قصد شيء مقترنا بفعله ومحلها القلب والتلفظ بها السنة ووقتها عند غسل أول جزء من الوجه والترتيب ألا يقدم عضو على عضو. The author, rahimahullah, here he goes into what does the intention mean, and we already spoke about that. But he said something which is وَمَحَلُّهَا الْقَلْبِ. He said that the place which the intention comes from is the heart. وَالتَّلَفُّظُ بِهَا سُنَّةٌ. And to utter the intention, يعني when you want to do the wudu, you proclaim the intention on your tongue. Or even before you say Allahu Akbar, you say the intention. This is an innovation. Rather, if you go to the statement that Al-Khatib Al-Shirbini transmits in his Kitab Al-Mughni Al-Muhtaj, in his Kitab Mughni Al-Muhtaj, in the first volume, page 255, he transmits from Shihab Al-Adhra'i that he said, وَلَا دَلِيلَ لِلنَّدْبِ وَتَعَقَّبَهُ فَقَالَ هُوَ مَمْنُوعٌ بَلْ قِيلَ بِوُجُوبِ التَّلَفُّظِ بِالنِّيَّةِ فِي كُلِّ عِبَادَةٍ. Some have even gone to the extreme level of saying that it is obligatory to say the intention with your tongue. Some of them actually gone to that extreme. They said التلفظ بالنية واجب, that to pronounce or to say the intention with your tongue is obligatory. يعني when before you say Allahu Akbar, you say نويت صلاة الظهر 4 ركعات هكذا. You basically say it with your tongue. This is an innovation. It is not sunnah, let alone it being wajib. Let alone it being wajib. It's a bid'ah, it's an innovation. وَوَقْتُهَا, when you should say it, is عِنْدَ غَسْلِ أَوَّلِ جُزْءٍ مِّنَ الْوَجْهِ. Again, when is the first time that you say the intention? Is when you place the water. As soon as you place the water on your face, this is when the intention comes. وَالتَّرْتِيبُ, and the order or the tartib is أَلَّا يُقَدِّمَ عُضْوٌ عَلَى عُضْوٍ, is that you do not place one limb before another limb. So you don't put one limb before the other limb. That is what tartib means. And we've already spoken about it. The way that a person can go against the order and the tartib is in two ways. There's two ways that people can go against the tartib. The first way is that the person actually goes and he washes the face and then he washes his leg. He's gone against the order and the sequence. Another way that a person can go against the order and the sequence is he goes and he dips himself into the ocean, or he dips himself into a large quantity of water. He dips himself into it with the intention of wudu. This also goes against the tartib, the sequence and the order. So these are the furud of the wudu. These are the obligatory acts of the wudu that the author rahimahullah mentioned. The first one is an-niyyah, intention, and we've spoken about it. The second one is ghaslul wajhi, and the third one is ghaslul yadayn ma'al mirfiqayn, and the fourth one is mashul ra's, and the fifth one is ghaslul rijlayn ma'al ka'bayn, and the sixth one is at-tartib. And inshallah ta'ala we'll stop there for today. Anything which I have said that was wrong or incorrect is from me, as shaitan and Allah and His Messenger are free from it. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Does anyone have any questions, inshallah ta'ala? If you have any questions, put your hand up بإذن الله الكريم. So someone asked a question and they said, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Ustad, is it possible to pray 2 rak'ah of Jum'ah along with a small khutbah at home? Yani, am I allowed to do khutbah in my house basically? I have a number of family members. Am I allowed to do khutbah at home? The answer to that question is no. You're not allowed to do khutbatul Jum'ah in your house. The khutbatul Jum'ah is for the masjid. So what every one of us has to do is, because of the coronavirus, we have been prevented from being able to go to the khutbah. We've been prevented from it. So the congregation that we do in the house is going to be dhuhr. The salah that we're going to be praying at home is going to be dhuhr. And I'll highly recommend that, because we're not able to go to the masjid and pray the jama'ah and the Jum'ah in the masjid, for the next upcoming weeks, I will encourage you all to try your best to at least make a jama'ah in the house. If you've got a lot of siblings, if you've got your parents, you're married and you have a lot of children, then to establish a jama'ah in the house is highly recommended. It is something that you should do, is to pray jama'ah. As for praying Jum'ah in your house, then this is incorrect. You can't pray Jum'ah in your house. You only are going to pray dhuhr. Wallahu a'la wa a'lam.